Okay, very good afternoon to everyone, for all the listeners and the people who are watching on Facebook Live. We are once again back with another webinar, and today we have a special guest, Dr. Jolly Masi. As far as the introduction concerned, Dr. Jolly Masi is an accomplished postdoctorate at Erasmus School of Economics, Netherlands. She bears 9 years of industrial and academic experience. She earned her PhD from Drexel University, USA, in collaboration with Institution of Agribusiness Management, Bikaner, India. She has written 52 research papers, including A category and Scopus Index papers, 6 patents, 14 book chapters, and has authored 2 books. She has received several national and international research awards, including Young Scientist Research Excellence Award, Best Scientist Under 30 Award, Rula Award for Best Research in Agribusiness, and several Best Paper Awards in different conferences. She worked with reputed firms like Erasmus School of Economics, Netherlands, Leaders Institute, Queensland, Australia, IIM Indore, Lovely Professional University, India, and Indian Agriculture Ministry, Perpetuity Media Insights, and UNICEF. Her major research interest lies in big data analytics, agribusiness management, consumer behavior, lifestyle, and autoimmune disorders. We welcome you, ma'am, to our forum of LBF Campus webinar series. And we are really delighted and very excited to hear about your views and thoughts about innovation in digital era for managers. Thank you very much for joining. All the participants, ma'am, you can start.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been an absolute delight to be with LBEF in this webinar series. And I know little, but I have heard great things about the institute, that it's one of the finest institute in Nepal, and it's really doing great and is responsible for giving great engineers to the world. I think some of the students are also working in India.
Yes, ma'am. So it's very... Yeah, it's very, I would like to be very delighted to let you know that we have over 8,500 alumni. And if you see, more than 1,000 of students are working in abroad, maybe Australia, Canada. And if you go in any of the business or private sector in Nepal, you will find alumni of LBF.
Right.
We have 22 years legacy with us.
That's amazing. So it has been an absolute pleasure to give a session in such a well-reputed institute, and I hope that all your faculty members and all the students could be benefited from this session. So shall I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. A very warm good afternoon to all of you. And in India, we say namaste, we fold our hands. I think it's the same tradition in Nepal as well. So namaste, and I welcome you all in this session. That is the title under Innovation in Digital Era for Managers. And currently I'm head of research at Prestige Institute of Engineering Management and Research, Indore. So these will be our contents. We will be talking about applications of different digital platforms for managers, and then we will be brainstorming. So this session will not be a typical lecture session or a webinar series, but it will be a more one-to-one session where I would love to interact with your students and even your faculty members on various issues. That's why it is so important for managers in today's era to have a very strong command on business analytics and on technology, and how the world is coming up with the concept of techno managers. So techno managers means managers who are well skilled and well equipped with latest IT and analytical skills, because that is where the future is actually going. So my first question to my audiences is, I hope audience can react or they are able to respond. What do you see in this picture? This is definitely not a car. It looks like a car, but this is not a car. So what do you think? What is it? Yes, please. I think anyone can answer even in the chat box if they want, or sir can answer on their behalf.
Yes, anyone would like to say something? I think I can see old age kind of vehicle is there, I believe. I'm not sure about it.
So this is the automatic robotic car, and
Okay.
this is the future. So future will be, we will be driving in vehicles which no longer require a driver. You can just put on the address and your automatic car can come to pick you and to drop you up. So this is where the future is going. We are moving towards the era of digital revolution, means machine will replace the knowledge work. Till now, machines were only doing either heavy manual work or repetitive work like calculators or computers, but now machines have moved into artificial intelligence and they are able to make decisions that includes a lot of mental processing and a lot of complex decisions. And in future, machines will even replace humans in a lot of other activities because we are moving in the era of smart machines. So I would like to give a little bit glimpse about that, how this whole digital revolution has started. It has started in back 19th century through industrial revolution, when the concept of trains came in. So basically, in that time, in early 19th century, machines were replaced instead of human to do the heavy lifting tasks like construction of buildings, lifting up the heavy material, doing heavy agricultural operations. Then in early 20th century came the era of industry 3.0, that we also called as IT revolution, where machine replaced repetitive and tedious work. So it was the era of calculators, mobile phones, pagers, even computers. And today, in 21st century, we are living in the era of industry 4.0, where digital revolution is taking by storm and machine can actually replace knowledge work. By knowledge work means machine can take smart decisions. I think Alexa is one example, Siri, Google, they are another examples. Whatever we say, they are able to take their quick decisions. We use GPS every day. And this kind of decision making skill is also required in upcoming managers or upcoming techno managers, that they are able to blend well their managerial skills with the ongoing technological and IT skills. Now, if you look at this slide, so this survey was done by PwC. It is one of the world's most well-reputed research consulting firm. So they have done a survey that what is the requirement of best corporates of world, like L&T, PepsiCo, and like Yes Bank, like what kind of managers they are looking for. So about 86% CEOs said that smart managers who are well versed with digital technology is their number one priority. That means about 86% CEOs want such managers that are technologically advanced. They should be good in managerial skills, but along with that, they should also possess good analytical skills, good decision making skills, and they should be able to work with different kind of technologies. Let it be social media analytics, let it be machine learning, let it be artificial intelligence, and then the rest of the things, like they should be able to be comfortable with demographic shifts, or they should be able to work with scarce resources or urbanization, but other secondary things. But 86%, the major focus was on technological advances. Then another part of their study said that in coming era, we will go through a digital transformation. That means there will be a whole cultural shift. Only those people will survive in corporate, in business world, who are good blend of technology and business. So it is all about choosing the right people at the right place with the right technological skills. That's where the world is actually going. Now, I would also like to give a small example about digital revolution, that how it started from incremental innovation and moved towards a radical innovation. I would like to know that, have you all seen Gmail? I think everyone must have seen Gmail. We all have Gmail accounts. We operate it. Yes?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Everyone
So,
is using. Yeah.
yeah. And we all have also seen Uber app. I think Uber is also functional in Nepal, sir.
No.
Okay. So something like Uber, Ola, or something, some taxi service with a
Yes, yes,
strong
they have other
navigation.
private vendors. Yeah, other private companies are operating.
Okay. That's really good. So we have two examples. One is Gmail, another one is Uber. Now, if you look at Gmail, it hasn't gone a lot of technological advancement. They had a very simple forum, very simple, template design. You can attach emails, you can send emails. So when your process of digital transformation is really slow, step by step, that is called an incremental innovation. Uber is world's #1 taxi providing service company. They have gone through radical innovation. Radical innovation means sudden, abrupt, and constant process of innovation. So they started with normal taxi providing services. Then they have developed their own app, mobile application, through which consumer can trace that if driver have reached, what is the way through which driver will be going, how much charge they have to pay. So they have gone through radical innovation, and as a result of it, they were able to achieve a business hike of 102% in just past 3 years. So this is how the digital revolution is playing a very, very important role in making your company successful. Then these are some of the pictorials that what are the key components, so for example, we have mobile phone. What is the key component of mobile phone? You have a SIM card, you have a mobile body, you have camera. So now these are the key components of technological advancement. And if we are talking about smart managers, if we are talking about techno managers, that they should be well versed with upcoming technology. So what those upcoming technologies are? These upcoming technologies include #1, cloud computing. So we are living in the era of unlimited data. Data is all around us. Whatever we are talking on this webinar, it's been recorded, it's going live on Facebook. It's a data. Whatever files we exchange through each other, it's data. So a manager should be well versed how to work with our data using cloud computing and different kinds of sensors. So we are also living in the era of multidisciplinary research. That means if you are a good manager, you have to work with different fields. Let it be supply chain, let it be operations management, let it be HR, human resources. So these sensors have made our life really, really easy. So you should also know how to work with different kinds of sensors, drone technology, machine translation, cognitive computing, which is also called smart computing. And then other things also include like data storage, robots, Web 2.0, virtual reality. So these are all things that we should be well versed about, because this is where the future lies. Now, the beauty of digital transformation or the digital revolution is that everything is connected to every other thing. You have a mobile phone, whatever you talk, whatever files you store, it gets stored on cloud. You can also share it on social media, and whole this makes bunch of big data. Big data means data that is in millions and in trillions. So in today's era, everything is connected to every another thing. So that's why it has become very, very important that we are able to identify right kind of data. That among so much of data heap, what is the kind of data that we want to use for our company, how to use that data smartly, and how can we get best results out of the data that is available. Now, this is the whole cycle of digital. First part is digital business models and services. Second is digital customer service. Third is data-driven insight. And fourth part is intelligent process automation. So first, talking about digital business models and services. So I would like to know, does anyone in the audience know about digital business models and services? Or what is a business model, let's say, to make it, more easy? What do you mean by a business model? Like, can anyone from the audience, they would like to answer?
Anyone, if they wish to write something, their chat window is all open.
Yes, and actually I would love to hear from audience because it's always a two-way learning. So what is a digital business model and service? You must have heard about different kinds of business models. Okay,
Actually,
so let me give you a
yeah.
small hint. Yes, sir, you were saying something, please.
Yeah, actually, we cannot allow the student, I mean the attendees to speak. We will have to make one-to-one on.
Yeah, not an issue, not an issue. Okay, so some of the examples of digital business model are right here on the screen. So we have different kinds of business models. For example, e-commerce, which covers Amazon, eBay, even Flipkart, Myntra. Then you have digital advertising platform where you can place your ad. So that includes Facebook, Google, even Twitter. These days we are putting a lot of ads, even a Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram. Then you have crowdsourcing. So Linux and IDEA and Lego is example of crowdsourcing. Then servicification. Those businesses that just provide service like Vestas, then additive manufacturing, platform economy. So Airbnb and Uber are example of platform economy. Then we have digital payments like, let's say, PayPal, mobile pay, even GPay. Then data-driven government. So government is also providing us a lot of sites from where we can download data, like freely available data related to government policies, the stocks, shares, even Monday data about different crops. Then the concept of smart cities, that a city should have free Wi-Fi and a lot of other, cyber cafes available. So the concept of a smart city is another kind of business model. Then second type of digital innovation is data-driven insight. So as I have said before, that we are living in a world that is surrounded by data. And data can be in any form. It can be structured, it can be unstructured. Data can be in form of text, whatever we type on mobile phone, whatever we type on computer, even our chats on WhatsApp, it's all data. Then data can be in form of photographs, whatever photographs you are putting. If you are putting more photographs about, let's say, food, so that means you are a food blogger or you are interested in more food varieties. If we are putting more photographs about new clothes, that means you are more interested in buying clothes. You see, so photograph is also another form of data. Then videos, and then you also have audio data these days. So whatever small recordings we send on mobile phone, that is also stored in data. So data could be both in structured and unstructured form, and different companies use all this kind of data to generate insights about their companies, to take different management decisions. That, for example, these days youngsters are putting a lot of images of rugged jeans. I think rugged jeans, all the students must be knowing that you tear the jean from your legs and then you wear it. It's a very cool fashion these days in colleges, and our mothers absolutely hate it. What kind of clothes are you wearing? So if youngsters these days are putting a lot of images in rugged jeans, so all the fashion companies like Levi's and Adidas, they will produce more rugged jeans, because they can see that teenagers are putting, or youth is putting more photos related to rugged jeans. That means the insight for the company is that this is something which people want, so they should produce more that kind of product. So these companies are using different forms of data to take different management decisions. Then next type of digital innovation is intelligent process automation. So personally, this is my favorite part of digital innovation, intelligent process automation. These are three different words. if something is a process, how it can be intelligent, and if it is automatic, then how it can be a process. It's very confusing and very intelligent at the same time. So let us understand what is it. So intelligent process automation means the process of creating simple robotics, making it intelligent step by step to such an extent that it can take its own decisions. So I think the best example is, have you all seen Robot movie? A robot movie from Rajnikant, like, sir, are Bollywood movies seen in Nepal? I heard Bollywood movies are very
Yes,
popular
yes,
there.
yes, yes, of
Okay,
course.
so I think the students must have also seen Robot movie. It's a very famous movie from superstar Rajnikant.
Yeah, I trust they have seen.
Yeah, so it's a very good example of intelligent process automation. So Rajnikant started with a very simple robot, that can do very simple manual things like picking up the tray, serving water. Then he invented Chitti. Chitti was his main robot. That was a process automation. So whatever he used to say to Chitti, he used to do that work. So if he would say that, Chitti, go and bring me that water bottle. So Chitti would go and bring that water bottle. If he would say that, Chitti, shoot that person, so he would shoot that person. And then in movie they realize that, this Chitti is good, like, but he doesn't have intelligence, he doesn't have human intelligence, he doesn't have emotions. He cannot understand if a person is sad or happy. He cannot understand the local language and the local dialect. So then they invented a smart robot that can actually understand a lot of things related to human life, and based on those things he can take his own decision. So now we are moving in the era of smart robotics, where robots are able to take their own decision, that this is the situation, in this situation we should do this. If there is a fire, and even if nobody has instructed us to put water in the building, still we should take a smart decision, we should sprinkle water in the building. So this is the smart intelligence. So our whole generation and all the business processes are going towards the era of business automation along with smart decision making process. Then the final and the most important part of digital innovation is digital customer experience. So in management, it is said that customer is the king. He is the person who gives you your bread and butter. So it is very, very, very important to understand your customer. And then these days, there is a one very interesting term in market, which is called customer data DNA. So I think you all must be knowing about DNA. We are living in era of, coronavirus.
Yes,
And
of course.
so I think DNA and virus and RNA is something that everyone is aware these days.
Yes,
So
yes.
DNA is the smallest unit of cell that has the complete information of your body system. So what is a customer data DNA? That means you should understand the entire 360-degree view of the type of data your customer is generating. For example, I'm a girl, I am in my early 30s. I earn well. I like to spend well on luxury goods. I like to buy more dresses. I'm very fond of cars. So now these all are the data about me, my demographic, my gender details, what is my income level, what things I like to purchase, what are those things where I like to put my money. Is it jewelry? Is it investment? Is it clothing? Is it car? Then what kind of billing behavior do I have? Do I like to pay using cash, or do I pay using credit card? So every day all our customers generate immense amount of data. So we should understand their data DNA, and based on that we can take really, really smart decisions, that what kind of product we should offer to our customer, and how payments should be made. Is that customer loyal or not? So what are the parts of data DNA? Let us understand that. Number one is life events. So I'll give you a small example. you talk about our grandmothers, you see, they all love wearing sari. You know, whatever is in fashion, jeans, skirt, they will not like to wear it. Isn't it, sir? At least my grandmother always used to wear sari.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone get mother. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So if you talk about the age and era of our grandmothers, they like to wear sari. Why? Because their life has been in that era where sari was considered a very, very elegant, dress for any female of reputable family. It is still considered, but in their era, that thinking was very, very prominent. So what I mean to say is that life event, the life history of any person plays a very, very important role in deciding what kind of product that person will be buying. So if I will take my grandmother to the shopping, she will still purchase sari, she will not purchase a jeans, no matter how good that jeans is. Second thing is social influence. It really depends that what is our social circle. So if we belong to a Hindu community, we would like to cover our head whenever we have puja in our house. Or if we belong to any other religion, we would like to do the things, we would like to wear a hijab, whenever we have any religious ceremony. So what is your social influence? Or if you are in a management community, you would like to wear a blazer whenever you have an important meeting. Then offer history. So it has been observed that maximum sales in West happens at the time of Christmas New Year week. Whereas if you talk about India, even in Nepal, I think at the time of Diwali, sir, how is Diwali celebrated in Nepal?
Yeah, Diwali is equally important, but here the most important festival is the Shine, the Shera.
Is the Shera. Okay.
Yes.
So I think and most of the company offers must be coming at around the Shera. 50% off, 60% off,
Yes,
right?
all the great deals and best offers are coming in the Shera time.
Right. So it's the similar trend in India also. Like Dussehra, Diwali, both are very important festival here. And you talk about any segment, electronic, car, clothing, even sweets, you get maximum offer in that time. So you also have to understand the offer history, that when your customer in at what occasion they will make the maximum purchase, when you should place your product, when you should launch your new product. So at the time of Diwali and Dussehra, all the new car companies launch their new cars, or television companies launch their new models, because at that time people think that it is good to purchase, it's a good time, it's a festive time. Then social attribute is again like social influence. Complaint history, very important. So one of the major problem in Southeast Asia, like that includes India, China, Nepal, and a lot of other countries, is that nobody listen to us. There is some problem, even if we put a complaint in the company, they will not listen to us. This is what our general tendency is. If you talk about West, if you talk about, let's say, USA or Europe, they take customer complaint very, very seriously. If you have any complaint, you can go back to the store. Even if you have wore that dress 10 times, you can give it back to the counter and say, your dress is defective, I want my money back. Or I just don't like this dress anymore, I want my money back. So how do you address the complaint of your customer? It is also very important. If you have addressed the complaint of your customer in a positive way, there is a high chance that that customer will come back to you and will purchase the product again. If the customer has not been addressed properly, then you might lose your customer. Then next important thing is app usage. Why do you think that app usage is very important? These days, like we are doing a lot of mobile shopping and online shopping. Generally, we like to go through those websites that are very easy to operate. They don't have a lot of complex features or a lot of complex language. Language is simple, options are easy to scroll, payment options are very simple. So in this era of digital revolution, app usage has also become very important to retain your customer. That if your website is really well designed and it is compatible with both iPhones and Android phones, then you will have a better customer base. Then next thing is client website clickstream. Client website clickstream means how many times a customer comes to your website If he's coming again and again, do you follow up your customer back? So for example, if I'm visiting the website of your college 10 times, does the social media team or does the website team of your college, comes back to me that, hello, you have visited our website. Do you have any question? Would you like to take admission? How do you follow back to those customers who are visiting your website again and again? Then some other things are call and text usage, demographics. That means what is the age group of your customer, what religion he or she belongs to, what income group, what area, billing behavior again, caller network, volatility. So volatility means very fast changing trend. These days, nothing is stable. It started with 2G, next year came 3G, then came 4G, and now we are talking about 5G. So everything is so unstable and fashion is changing so fast that if you want to survive in market, you should constantly come up with new designs, new patterns, new features, keeping in view what your customer wants. So Apple every year gives you a new kind of iPhone. They focus more on camera, picture quality, because that's what youth want these days. You see, they want really good smartphones that are waterproof, that can take good pictures, good selfies. So you should understand the volatile nature, the constantly changing behavior of customer. And then the data usage is that how do you finally club all this data? How do you club all the customer data DNA, and how do you process it into a meaningful information? Then what are different channels through which customer could be reached? So there are different channels, like you can reach your customer through website, through mobile phone, through social media, through physical stores. And you also have media and advertising, you have email marketing. These are different channels that any company can use to reach their customer, but the best way to reach your customer is to use them all. Don't just rely on one channel or two channels. If you want to have a better or a larger customer base, it's really important to use multiple channels or to use them all. Then I have a next question. What do you see here? What these two people are doing? Sir, I would come back to you again. What do you feel what they are doing? You can, answer on behalf of your participants.
I think it's an example of virtual reality, and they are
Yes.
watching some kind of 3D movies or something.
Yes, yes. So it's an example of virtual reality. This is the new hotcake, virtual reality and augmented reality. So these days, a lot of companies are also placing their advertisements on these platforms because it has become very, very famous in youngsters. Now, let us talk about a digital radar. What is a digital radar? Now, a digital radar is very similar to what we used to say product life cycle. So a product life cycle has 4 stages whenever we launch a new product in the market. Let's say, so what is the most famous car of Nepal?
Yeah, there are many cars. They are all national, international players are available. But I think Maruti 800 and Maruti products are more popular.
So do you also have the Swift Desire or Swift
Yes,
Maruti
yes,
Swift?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's say when Maruti Swift was launched, just launched in the market. So that time people were exploring about that car. Okay, people were exploring on website, people were looking at reviews on different forums, that is this car good or is this car expensive, what is the mileage of this car. So whenever any product is launched, let's say Maruti Swift is launched, then initial 6 months are the period of exploration when people just want to explore, they want to understand about that product. Okay, then after 6 months comes the duration of act, that once people have understood that, okay, this is a good car, this is a reliable car, mileage is good, now we have to make a decision, shall we purchase it or we shall not purchase it. So from 0 to 6 months, the period is exploration. From 6 months to, let's say, 12 months, the period is period, when your customer base actually increases and people come to your website, they do a lot of car bookings, or people even go to, you know, different advertisements of your car to see what kind of features you are giving. So if you are creating any kind of advertisement or digital media, then you should really understand in which phase your product is. When your product has been just launched, it is in the phase of exploration, you should put maximum information about your product, because people are eager to know what that product is. When your product is in a phase of act, that means when people want to make the decision about purchase, that whether we should buy this product or we shall not buy this product, then you should put maximum information about the prices at which your product is available, different kind of offers, different kind of EMI and installment plans, what free gifts you can provide to your customer if they make a purchase decision. And then the last 6 months, that is from 12 months to 16 months, is the period of investigation. It is very, very critical period. Now, investigation is also called a feedback period. So people have explored about your product, they have also purchased your product. Now they are giving feedback in market that it's a good car, it's not so good the way I have thought, there had been a better model. So investigation period is something where you should put a lot of focus about the rating of your product, that you should create such platform which can gives you higher customer rating. You should promote more positive feedback, you should encourage good customers to leave a positive feedback on your website or on your social media page. So this is the whole digital radar of any company, that first 6 months is about exploration, next 6 months is about acting of customer, whether he will buy or not buy a product, and next last 6 months is about investigation and the feedback. Now the question arises that why does company need smart managers? Like they can simply hire an engineer. Why do you want to make a poor manager so, you know, well versed with technology? So the thing is that we are living in the era of purple skills. Purple skill means that you should have a blend of managerial and technological skills, because what a manager can do, an engineer cannot do. What an engineer can do, a manager cannot do. But company requires them both. Company requires engineering skills also and managerial skills also. So that's why the whole concept of techno managers, or the importance of innovation, digital innovation in the life of managers came in. Okay, so now what skills companies are looking for? They're looking for data scientists. They are looking for those people who can, you know, play with data. They can provide meaningful information to the institute through that data. Then graphic designer. This concept is also very popular these days, that how you can put a lot of information into simple graphics or infographics, and how those graphics can be used to grab more customer. Then user experience designers. Now, user experience designer means that how do you condense the testimony of your customers who have already used your data? How can you advertise their good feedback? How can you, you know, advertise their experience about your product? Then science fiction writers. So if, you know, you are in some, let's say, Marvel movie series, then you definitely need a science fiction writers. But even in advertisement era these days, we need creative writers who can, you know, make very creative advertisement, and scientists and even psychologists who can understand the customer psychology very, very well. So this era has moved from IT digital industrialization to digital transformation, and then from core IT operations to different innovations. And then what is required in today's era is that we should be able to cope up with fast changing trends. We should be creative. We should have more entrepreneurship skill. That means we should boost the global and local business equally. So this is the small summary of whatever we have learned, that we are living in the era of digital transformation, and companies are looking for those type of managers that are really, really good in different IT and technological skills, because this is where the whole business world is moving. So if you will not be well versed with good techno managerial skills, then in coming future it will be really, really difficult to survive. But if you learn them now, then you definitely have a very, very bright future in coming times. So digital is not a medium, it's a era we are living in. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions?
Yes. Anyone from audience side have any question? Please write down in the chat box. Yes, Sumit is having a question.
Yes, Mr. Sumit, please go ahead. So do we need to unmute him or he needs to type?
No, he's going to type. He's writing in chat. And Jasbir sir, are you there? Sumit sir, please type the question in the chat. Yeah.
What is your view about product Coca-Cola? Is it is new innovation? If yes, can you state the radical innovation why or why not? So, Mr. Sumit, it's a very interesting question about Coca-Cola. So one thing I would like to inform that since last 15 years, Coca-Cola hasn't changed anything in their formula. Their basic formula and the basic taste is same since last 15 years. Only innovation they have done is in the packaging of their bottle sizes. So they have launched different sizes of packaging, you know, big bottles, small bottle, cans. Also, they come up with they have came up with one new feature that is diet coke or zero sugar coke. That is their only product. So I won't say it is a radical change. It is more an incremental change that they are following. But because Coca-Cola is a very stable company and it's a very new and it's a very well-renowned company across the globe. So even if they don't go for a radical change, they can survive. But if you talk about any new company that is there in today's era, for example, any new car company or any new mobile company, they have to go for radical change because they want to grab more and more customers. They also want to, compete with existing market players. So they have to go through constant product changes again and again so that they can survive in customer. I hope that answers your question.
I would like to add something in this. Actually, Coca-Cola is following the marketing innovation concept. The marketing innovation, when we have some kind of new marketing strategies, we hire some celebrities, and sometimes they have tried for diversification. They have heavily relied on mergers and acquisitions. They have acquired so many other small soft drink companies like Coke. Thumbs Up was acquired by Coca-Cola. So they are not doing a radical innovation, but yes, they are trying wherever possible kind of innovation.
They are expanding. They are putting a lot of focus on branding part. Actually, they'll hire the best of the superstars to endorse their products.
Yes, of course. I was looking some Chinese news channels, and I found that they are coming up with the ads of local Chinese superstars and film stars. Yes. Right? In India, they are coming with Shah Rukh Khan and Salman Khan. Yes, in Nepal, they are going with the local language of Nepalese stars. What they are trying to, they want to make the packaging according to the people, the target customers. They're trying to target yeah. Sumit sir, I hope your question is answered. Anyone else have any question?
Can you please share some information about Society 5.0 and sustainability digital innovation? So I think so there are two kind of terms that we use in digital innovation. One is innovation. Second part is sustainability. So what is sustainability? That how much it can survive. So for example, electric cars have been invented, but they were not able to survive well because although they were eco-friendly, they were not creating pollution, but they didn't had speed. Also, if you want to travel for like far distance, so for example, if you want to cover 500 miles or 1000 miles, then you need a lot of charging ports to charge your car, and minimum time required in charging was 30 minutes. So people have not accepted electric cars the way it was thought. People are using electric cars, but that innovation was not sustainable. It was not so much well accepted in the society. Second example of sustainable innovation is solar panel. When solar panel came, people were very, very doubtful that how we will switch to, solar panels, who like we will not like to, switch off our lights and just rely on electricity for the light in our house. But solar panels are very, very successful in some parts of world and even in India as well, because you get a lot of sunlight. So these solar panels are very cost effective. You save energy. There is no pollution. You also save a lot of electricity. And then also a lot of, sustainable and eco-friendly gadgets could be also built. So today we are using a lot of solar electricity, a lot of solar bulbs. Then you also have these solar cooking appliances. You see, they take energy from solar light and your food gets cooked. So solar energy is one of the very good example of sustainable innovation. So same thing applies in digital innovation as well. Every day a lot of companies come with different type of digital innovation, some new kind of app, some new kind of platform, some new kind of digital platform. But how well it is accepted by the society, how useful it is for the society, and how much in long run it will be able to serve the society, that makes your innovation sustainable.
Additionally, electrical vehicle also one of the area, because initially people were very confused and they were in dilemma whether it would be successful, it would not be successful. But nowadays we can see new companies are coming up for heavy investment. Tesla also have come into this market. Tesla is one of the most prominent company around the world, but they also have started the electrical vehicle manufacturing.
Yes.
So I think this is also a sustainable solution which is coming in next few years.
So now electric vehicles have really picked up the market. Like the starting was pretty crashy, but now they are doing really, really well.
Because given the situation that after 50 years, petrol, diesel will not be available for all of us.
Absolutely.
Right? Then either we will be having
we are already in prices of petrol
and also I was seeing a pattern that in metros also, in big station also, people are going for cycle. Yes. I'm in Patiala nowadays. I was seeing at some good professors of Thapar University, Patiala, and I found that they are 60 plus, they are 70 plus, they are coming to offices by cycle.
Yes, yes.
So I got remember my college days. My father forced me to go college by only going by cycle. So I was very awkward. I was used to feel very awkward. Yeah, what is this? Yes. Right? But the time has come back once again.
Yes. Now it's no more a status symbol. It's now a health symbol. That you are living a healthy life.
Also, it's a need now.
Yes,
after
it's a
50
need.
years, we will not have any petrol. Then either we will be on by fits or by electrical vehicle. We will have no other option.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You share your views on role of emotional intelligence on innovation leadership and collaborative innovation. Mr. Jyoti, it's a very good question. So first of all, let us discuss what is emotional intelligence. Now, there are two types of intelligence quotient that we talk about these days. Number one is emotional intelligence. Number two is let's say emotional quotient or spiritual quotient. So we all knew about intelligence quotient, right? IQ, that we say. How much, what is the intelligence level of a person? Even a kid can have a very high intelligence level, and sometimes even some of the matured, fully grown people don't have so much of intelligence. So how much intelligence you hold ability to differentiate between right and wrong and to take the right decision. This is called intelligence. So how much intelligence you hold, that is called IQ, intelligence quotient. Then came the era of emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence is that how well you blend your decision to the current situation. If you are living in India or Nepal, you cannot promote a product that talk about pork. I think in Nepal also they have the same Hindu sentiment like India. Any product that contains pork or any byproduct of pork is not accepted. So our emotional intelligence says that whatever products we are launching in India and Nepal, it should be mostly vegetarian. It shouldn't harm any animal, and it should definitely have none of the remains of pork. Yes, sir.
We cannot compare. Even I was in this kind of misconception when I came to Nepal, that the eating habits of Nepal and Nepalese and Indians are same. But in a larger extent, they are same. But there's a lot of differences are there, especially in the vegetarian and non-vegetarian.
Okay, so but
Yes.
if we talk about India particularly in this example, so you also need to have an emotional intelligence that what is accepted in that society, and where like most of the emotional part of the society is going. Another example of emotional intelligence is that Samsung these days is creating a lot of advertisements that touches, so for example, one person is going to a very hilly area to deliver a phone in a blind school because they want to pair the online session. Their school is not operational due to COVID, so they have ordered a Samsung phone, and those blind kids can listen to the lecture on the Samsung. It's a kind of emotional intelligence. You see, you can emotionally connect it to your customer and they are buying your product. So you have, really hit the sentiment of the customer. So now emotional intelligence is the new need of market. And then there is also a spiritual quotient, that how well you believe in the faith and the divine power, but that is a very, again, it depends on person to person. But emotional intelligence these days are definitely driving a lot of marketing decisions. And for innovation leadership, I think emotional intelligence is very important, because until and unless you are not able to understand the consumer sentiment, what kind of sentiment the consumer hold for your company, is it positive, is it negative, is it a neutral sentiment, you cannot predict the future of your innovation, whether it will be successful, or if it is a negative sentiment, then you have to put some more effort to bring it toward positive side. If it is a neutral sentiment, customer doesn't know anything about your innovation and neither care also that such kind of innovation exists in market, then you also have to make your customer aware about that innovation, that this is something new our company is doing, and make it towards positive side.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Any other question?
What are paths to innovation in digital era? Okay, so paths, I think I would say, are something, the four types of innovation that I have discussed are actually the paths that you can either go for a business model innovation, or you can go for a, let's say, intelligence process automation innovation. You can also go for the customer side of innovation. So these were actually the four paths through which you can pitch digital innovation.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Any other question?
Thank you. Thank you for so much intelligent questions. Like, I really had to think. You have a very smart audience, I should say, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, very detail-oriented audience.
Yes, yes. I think there are no more questions. We can sum up all the things by saying that nowadays managers are not just managers by mind, but also they have to become tech savvy. They have to understand the use of technology, and there's a term called decision support systems. So IT can serve as a better decision support system in all kind of decision, maybe HR, operations, finance, all areas are open. where IT can be utilized and managerial decisions can be more better. Predictive analytics and business analytics are emerging fields where managers are focusing nowadays. So it's a very emerging thing. Thank you very much for joining for this session on the behalf of fraternity of LBF students and faculty members. Once again, I wish to thank you a lot. Thanks a lot for accepting our invitation on a very short notice. And we look forward to empanel you in our future endeavors as well. For future webinars, we are going to invite you to join us and take care of yourself.
It had been such a pleasure to interact with audience and with your students, and I thoroughly enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, audience. Thank you. We will stay tuned tomorrow once again with another webinar. Thank you. Thank you very much.